Okay, one more in the book of Ezekiel 20, an account of Israel's infidelities. Here we go again. There's just nothing good to be said about Israel in the Old Testament. Nothing. It's all mayhem. In the 7th year, on the 10th day of the 5th month, some of the elders of Israel came to consult Yahweh and were sitting with me. Okay. When the word of Yahweh was addressed to me as follows: Son of man, speak to the elders of Israel, say, in the... Okay, so first of all, so they came to consult with Yahweh about what? We don't know. So we're going to have to figure that out through God's answer. The Lord Yahweh says this: Have you come to consult me? As I live, I will not be consulted by you, declares the Lord Yahweh. Oh, they didn't even get the chance to say what they came about. It's like, sometimes people approach you and you look at them and you're going, well, I haven't seen you in I don't know how long. Let's see, the last time you approached me was for what? Oh, it's probably the same thing this time. You already know it's not going to be anything that you want to hear, right? Yes? That's what it sounds like here. Uh, are you ready to judge them? Are you ready to judge them, son of man? Oh, he's talking to... so now he's gone back. So now has gone back talking to Ezekiel. This is really not... Uh, not not very clear. Confront them with the loathsome practices of their ancestors. Say, the Lord Yahweh says this: On the day when I chose Israel, when I pledged my word to the house of Jacob, I made myself known to them in Egypt. I pledged my word to them and said, I am Yahweh your God. That day I pledged them my word that I would bring them out of Egypt to a country which I had reconnoitered for them. Reconnoitered. Yes, that reminds me of when we would go connoiter. Um, uh, Out in the neighborhood. Oh, it was so much fun. And then my one of my daughters says, Mom, doesn't a reconnoiter is not a word. I said, yes, it is. Look it up. It's like, oh my gosh, I just learned a new word. Yeah, A country flowing with milk and honey, and the loveliest of them all. And I said to them, each of you must reject the horrors which attract you. Do not pollute yourselves with the foul idols of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. But they rebelled against me and would not listen to me. Not one of them rejected the horrors which attracted them. They did not give up the foul idols of Egypt. I then resolved to vent my fury on them, to sate my anger on them in Egypt. But respect for my own name kept me from letting it be profaned in the eyes of the nations among whom they were living, and before whom I had made myself known to them and promised to bring them out of Egypt. All right, that's false right there. Again, well, if God hides who his people really are to look better for himself, yes, that's what it says right here. Then that again gives what? The excuse for everyone out there with their families to hide things. One of the worst things to hide is child abuse. When a mother or a father or an aunt full well knows, even a sibling, that one of the children is being sexually abused, for example, or elders around, no, something's not right, nobody pays any attention, it's not my problem. But because it's not out in the open, it's being hidden away. And the family looks great on the outside, right? Yes? So that what? You can look better in church? In front of God yourself? Yeah. So, well, I thought nothing could be hidden in front of God. But then God's hiding things. So he can keep looking, his name can look good, better. That's God? No, that's just another excuse. That's something in here that then we then too can say, well, we're just for so that we look good as Christians, for example. We're just going to shuffle this under the rug because that would look bad. Jesus would look bad. That would reflect bad on Jesus if we call ourselves Christians and we do nasty things behind closed doors. Yes or no? Aha. That's false. This did not come from God. This again is man, the Son of Man here, that needed an excuse to hide certain things and feel good about it, not guilty. Be shameless about it. Yes? And then continue on to what? Pretend to what? Follow God. All right. Good one. Pull God into it. So I brought them out of Egypt and led them into the desert. I gave them my laws and taught them my judgments, in whose observance people find life. And I also gave them my Sabbaths as a sign between me and them, so that they might know that I, Yahweh, am the one who sanctifies them. The house of Israel, however, rebelled against me in the desert. They refused to keep my laws. They scorned my judgments, in whose observance people find life, and they grossly profaned my Sabbaths. I then resolved to vent my fury on them in the desert and destroy them. But respect for my own name kept me from letting it be profaned in the eyes of the nations before whom I had brought them out. Again, even so I pledged them my word in the desert that I would not lead them to the country which I had given them, a country flowing with milk and honey, and the loveliest of them all. Since they had scorned my judgments, had refused to keep my laws, and had profaned my Sabbaths, their hearts being attached to foul idols. No, most likely what happened, that most of the people didn't want to continue on to Canaan. It was too hard. They were too unhappy. They want to go back to Egypt. I bet you that's what happened. Nothing to do with God again. In spite of this, I took pity on them. I refrained from destroying them and did not make an end of them in the desert. You know, this again, God sounds so wishy-washy. This was not given by our heavenly parent. Do not believe that. Not for a moment. Somebody writing stuff down. I said to their children in the desert, do not follow the laws of your ancestors. Do not practice their judgments. Do not defile yourselves with their foul idols. I am Yahweh your God. Keep my laws, respect my judgments, and practice them. Keep my Sabbaths holy. Let them be a sign between me and you, so that people may know that I am Yahweh your God. Their children, however, rebelled against me. They refused to keep my laws. They did not respect or practice my judgments, which must be practiced by all who want to live. There's a reason for all this, right? So keep the law, keep the heavenly laws, keep the earthly laws, right? Keep God's laws, and you live. What did I say? What was one of the greatest sorrows for people? Huh? When you love, one of the greatest sorrows is to lose a loved one to death. Yet so many people are willing to die. They don't care. They want to die. They don't want to live. Yes. When it comes to not keeping God's laws. They profaned my Sabbaths. And then I resolved to vent my fury on them, to sate my anger on them in the desert. But I restrained my hand, respect for my own name. There we go. Oh my gosh, this is a weird one. Kept me from letting it be profaned in the eyes of the nations before whom I had brought them out. Once again, however, I pledged them my word that I would scatter them throughout the nations and disperse them in foreign countries, because they had not followed my judgment, but had rejected my laws and profaned my Sabbaths, their eyes being fastened on the foul idols of their ancestors. Again, I don't believe that either. This is another excuse on why they ended up back in slavery all over the place. It was themselves, they did it. God had nothing to do with it. Own up to your own actions. Don't blame someone else. And for this reason I gave them the laws that were not good, and judgments by which they could never live. And I polluted them with their own offerings, making them sacrifice every firstborn son in order to fill them with revulsion. so that they would know that I am Yahweh. Well, that happened again later on. This is weird. Wow, interesting. Wasn't that one of the so many evils to get them out of Egypt, that the firstborns of all the Egyptians? Now this says that he made Israel, God made Israel sacrifice every firstborn son. So they would see their God. That's interesting. Well, that tells me a lot right here. Don't believe everything you read. For this reason, Son of Man, speak to the house of Israel. Say to them, the Lord Yahweh says this: Here's another way by which your ancestors outraged me by their infidelity. Once I had brought them into the country which I had pledged my word to give them, they then saw all sorts of high hills, all kinds of leafy trees, and there they performed their sacrifices and made offerings that provoked my anger. There they set out their pleasing smell and poured their libations. I then said to them, What is this high place where you go? And they gave and still give it the name of Bama. So say to the house of Israel, the Lord Yahweh says this: If you are polluting yourselves as your ancestors did by fornicating with their horrors, for by offering your gifts and by burning your children as sacrifices, wait a minute, which he just here says he did tell them to do that. Okay, no. With all your foul idols to this very day, shall I let myself be consulted by you? House of Israel, as I live, declares Lord Yahweh, I shall not let myself be consulted by you. And what you sometimes imagine will never be so when you say, We shall be like the people, the tribes of foreign lands, worshipping wood and stone. As I live, I swear it, declares the Lord Yahweh, I am the one who will reign over you, with a strong hand and outstretched arm, once my fury is sated. With a strong hand and outstretched arm, once my fury is sated, I shall bring you back from the people and gather you again from the countries throughout which you have been scattered. I shall lead you into the desert of the nations, and there I shall judge you face to face. As I judged your ancestors in the desert of Egypt, so will I judge you, declares the Lord Yahweh. I shall make you pass under the crook, bring you to respect the covenant, and rid you of the rebels who have revolted against me. I shall bring them out of the country where they are staying, but they will not enter the country of Israel. And you will know that I am Yahweh. House of Israel, Lord Yahweh says this: Go on, all of you, worship your foul idols, but later we shall see if you don't listen to me. Then you will stop profaning my holy name with your offerings and your foul idols. For on my holy mountain, on the high mountain of Israel, declares the Lord Yahweh, is where the whole house of Israel, everyone in the country, will worship me. There I shall accept and there expect your presence, your choicest offering, and all your consecrated gifts. I shall welcome you like a pleasing smell when I bring you back from the people and gather you from the countries throughout which you have been scattered. And through you I shall display my holiness for all nations to see. And you will know that I am Yahweh when I bring you back to the soil of Israel, to the country which I pledged my word to give to your ancestors. There you will remember your past behavior and all the actions by which you have defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all the wrongs which you have committed. And you will know that I am Yahweh when I treat you as respect for my own name requires, and not as your wicked behavior and corrupt actions deserve. House of Israel, declares the Lord Yahweh. That's the end of 20. Okay. Now, if I want to get anything out of this, okay, that I guess Ezekiel, in a way, let the elders know here that I got nothing for you until you start realizing what you're doing wrong. And I guess that goes for a lot of people. And you start to realize what you're doing wrong, then you may start to do things right. Yes? Maybe. And then when one wants to learn more about certain things, really wants to, then when you approach people and ask the questions, you may get the answers. Yes? But as long as it is for one's own selfish desires and ideas, it's not likely that one will get answers, the right answers to live a life worth living. Yes? So, again, approaching our Heavenly Parent is, it's like, be yourself. Even if there are things that one is unclear about and feels like, well, why should I follow all these laws? Other people aren't, and why can't I just live and let live, right? Why can't one do that? It's better to approach God, our Heavenly Parent, Yahweh, Manitou, the Creator, with one's honest self. And then you're going to be hurt if that's what one wants. And there'll be answers if that's what one wants. But approaching God by reproaching him, her, will not work. Ever. Yes? So, anyway, one could say so much more to this, but again, it's Ezekiel. I can tell Ezekiel's he's trying to teach and explain, and I can't see how this worked at that time. If the elders were no better, from what I'm hearing, at that time were no better than this, basically, Ezekiel tells them, you're the scum of Israel. God doesn't want anything to do with you. You're the scum. You haven't, were those Levites? The Levites failed the Israelites big time. They were the spiritual guidance of the Israelites, right? Yes? Of course, again, you can't just depend on the priests and the Levites either. If you just depend on your church and your priest, or your reverend, or your pastor, for that 1 or 2 hours you spend in church on Sundays, and then you think that's it, that'll be that, then you're probably quite wrong wired as well. Yes? It's got to be a daily thing. Every day, every hour, every minute, every second. There's no, I'll just put God aside here for 5 minutes, or 6 days a week, and I'll deal with that on Sunday. It's not how it works. And that's exactly what the Israelites did here, and Ezekiel was trying to tell them that. There's no wishy-washy stuff going on here. When it comes to being with our Heavenly Parent, there's no wishy-washy stuff going on. It's a yes, absolute yes, every time, every day, every hour, every minute and every second of the day. That's it. And our Heavenly Parent is expecting that of us. That's attending our Heavenly Parent. And that is that. Even if you just go out there every day, appreciate every flower you see, every leaf, every tree, every little critter you come across. What an amazing invention. You go read up on the critters you're so bothered by. Huh? Ants, wasps, bees, flies, mosquitoes, the weather. Go read up on a lot of people who given a lot of information about all this stuff. Why it is so important for our ecosystem. You start to look at things a little different on how amazing everything's been created. And yet in the fabulous heart to mind that is behind. Everything's been created out there. Yes? Give that some mind. Yeah? Okay. May a Heavenly Parent bless, protect you, guide you, embrace you with love. Eldridge, my dearest brother in faith, let's keep praying, and I will talk to y'all another time.